Hello everyone, my name is Asyrafchazz and welcome back to yet another One Piece card game video. And in this video, we will be taking a look at the Ivankov deck that won the IG preliminary event over in Japan. It is, without a doubt, one of my new favorite decks to come out from the OP02 metagame, and I've always wanted to try it out and kind of make a video about it, so it's time to finally do that. So Ivankov, as you all know, the leader that just came out from OP02, one of the kind of interesting leaders because it really cares about having like 0 cards in your hand. And I was under the impression that this deck wasn't going to be strong at first, but the synergy that comes with the 7-cost Ivankov that pairs with all the other Impel Down tools available in the deck makes it one of the greatest mid-rangey threat decks to exist right now in the current metagame. And of course, it did really well. It won the preliminary tournament in Japan. So we're going to take a look at the deck itself. We're going to break down the core cards that goes into the deck, and I also included a little gameplay of me just messing around with the deck using OPTCGsim, so you can check it out there. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribing if you want to keep up to date with more One Piece card game content. Without further ado, let's take a look at the deck itself featuring Ivankov. Alright, so here is the deck itself posted by the official One Piece card game Twitter page. Congratulations to the winner, John, who piloted the blue Ivankov deck to victory. So this is a standard list. Now, a lot of different forms of the Ivankov deck has emerged because people are playing different variations. People are playing either the Doflamingo, the 7-cost Doflamingo from the starter deck, playing the 0-cost Gomu Gomu no Rain event card, but this list doesn't play that. This list focuses on the core concept of bringing out Ivankov, and then you can follow it up with bringing out your Monkey D. Luffy, your Crocodile, and also the 4-cost character cards in the form of Inazuma and Mr. Tree. So I put a link to the deck over on onepiececardgame.dev so you can check it out and read the card effects for yourself, but we're going to go through the core strategy of this deck. So I want to start this by saying, yes, this is a deck that is currently in the OP02 metagame, but for those of you who are still in OP01, for those of you at the English release, you can see that a lot of the blue cards come from the OP01 set itself, and then also for the blue starter deck. So if you are playing blue already and you want to transition into OP02, this is actually a great deck to transition into. So first of all, you have your 1-cost cards in the form of Perona and Buggy. These are your early searchers. I'm going to include in Doflamingo in here as well because they are sort of your card manipulating strategy, and as well as for Buggy, he's your main searcher of the deck. Now this deck is primarily using the Impel Down package, which we'll talk about later on. So Perona and Doflamingo are there to kind of filter out your draws, making sure that you are drawing exactly what you need in the top 5 cards of your deck. If you don't like your top 5 cards, you can always ship them to the bottom, but more often than not, you're just going to be rearranging them in the order that you want to draw them in. And of course, Buggy is there to kind of search out your Impel Down cards itself. And we know in this type of One Piece card game formats that searching out your specific character cards or type is very important, because we see Nami being heavily played. We see the 2 searchers in green featuring like Ryori Bonnie as well as Momonosuke. So of course Buggy is definitely an important card in this deck. Now he uses Alvida as well as the 4-cost Dracul Mihawk from the starter deck as his main source of plus 2000 counters. And if you for some reason didn't pick up the blue starter decks, because you do need to get 2 of them if I'm not wrong, but if you don't want to get the blue starter deck to pick up your copies of Dracul Mihawk for the plus 2k counter, you can always switch it out with the Mr. 2 Bonchan from OP01, who also has plus 2000 counter. You are not necessarily playing them out. If you don't have any other plays, you can play them out, but most often than not for this deck, you are saving them for plus 2000 counter. So it also uses the Impel Down package in the form of Inazuma and Mr. Tree as the mid-range 4-cost blockers. So Inazuma, definitely a very strong card. If you have less than 1 card in your hand, 1 or less cards in your hand, this character gains plus 2000 power. So not only does it do really good blocking duties against more aggressive decks like Zoro, you can also use it offensively if you need to. And Mr. Tree is also good at, you can attack with it, and if you need to have him up as a blocker, you can always discard a card from your hand and then put this character back to active at the end of your turn. So these 2 cards are really, really good. Now we're going to jump into the 7-cost Ivankov, because it's mostly the linchpin of the deck, I would say. Ivankov, just definitely one of the strongest cards out there. On play, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand, then play up to 1 blue Impel Down type character with a cost of 6 or less from your hand. So your major targets are not only the 2 4-cost blockers that we mentioned before, you can put down your 6-cost Monkey D. Luffy as well as the 5-cost Vanilla Crocodile from OPO2. These 2 cards will generate a lot of pressure for your opponent, and it's hard to kind of get rid of one threat in the form of Ivankov itself, but now you have to deal with 2 separate threats. And Luffy, definitely a more aggressive sleeper hit, but you can use it defensively as well. So his ability is on play or when attacking, you may trash 2 cards from your hand and return 1 cost 4 or lower character to its owner's hand, and then this character gains double attack during this turn. If you want to out-tempo your opponent on the turn that you play your Ivankov, you can drop Luffy down, discard 2 cards from your hand, send something back. You don't need to deal with the double attack. You just want to get rid of someone's characters on the side of the field. Be it a blocker, be it like something like Okiku, something that's 4 costs or lower that you don't want to deal with right now while you have finished setting up your Ivankov and Luffy. And for Crocodile, it's just a strong threat. 5 costs, 7,000 power is a difficult card to kind of get rid of, especially for like the smaller character cards deck like Zoro. Whitebeard has a harder time because they need to generate resources to attack into the Crocodile, but at a cost of, you know, taking a turn off to do it, and then they have to take a life, which brings them closer to like that 1 or 0 life, which sometimes it's a risky play to do. Now, of course, rounding up the card, we have the plus 2000 counter in the form of Mr. 2, Bonchan. I've not personally seen people using this card. This deck heavily counters with the cards in your hand, which is why they don't run any event counters. So you want to kind of counter aggressively and make sure that you are at a low hand count, and then you're refilling your hand up with the 7-cost Ivankov as well as the leader itself, because you when you have 0 cards in your hand, you draw 2 cards at the end of your turn. And at the top end of this deck, you have none other than Dracul Mihawk, one of the strongest blue cards out there. When you drop it, you can return something that costs 7 or less to your opponents at the bottom of your opponent's deck. So it's really quite good. It's a difficult threat to get rid of as well. And if you're fighting against something like a Luffy or Whitebeard who has really strong top end cards in the form of Whitebeard, then you know this could be one of the things that you use to combat that, because you need a high power attacker to be attacking into those big threats. Now, rounding out this list that he used is Erebus Brickfist. I think this is just a great tempo card, and in the tournament that he played, I believe that it's a really good tech piece. You can use it to send things from like Kinemon players back to the hand, kind of stall them a little bit. You want to out-tempo your opponent, and this is a great card to do it. And lastly, the stage card Newcomer Land is just a great way to filter out your draws, and if you need to, you can dump 3 cards from your hand just to activate your Ivankov ability or get maximum value from the Ivankov character card that lets you draw up to 3 cards in your hand. So all in all, this deck list is just a great starting point for OPO2. If you are a fan of Ivankov as character and you have the alternate art leader and you want to rock it, this is a great deck to use. So we're going to jump into some gameplay right now so you can take a look at how I kind of use the deck and see the different lines being played and see how the deck works in action. Alright, we're trying out Ivankov today, and we're against an Odin deck, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna mulligan this hand, I think. I just want to look for my searches. We didn't find any, but that's okay. So we're gonna draw the Dawn. We're gonna play out the Impel Down and actually use it this turn, just to kind of see what we can get. I do have the Ivankov, so I'm gonna keep that. Well, both of these are fine. I'm just going to get rid of the Mihawk here and not trash and end my turn. So Ivankov, you really need to find your, buggies, your early, like Doflamingos, especially because you're going first. The magic number seems to be either 4 to play your blockers, or if you can survive to 7, then that's perfectly fine, starting first. Right now with my hand, I do have the Ivankov and I have the Crocodile, so I can choose to play both of them. Or I can choose to play Crocodile first and then maybe Ivankov with another card draw later on as well. So we'll see what the Odin player does. I have not played against an Odin in quite a while, so I'm guessing this is still like OP01, but it still can do fairly well against Ivankov for sure. So I'm going to draw the card, draw my Dawn. Not much we can play. I'm going to try and search for something. Okay, that's a Doflamingo. I'm going to get rid of the Mr. 2. And not trash 3 cards, and I'm going to play out the... But you know what? I'm going to attack first. So we're going to swing in to Odin for 5k. See if he takes it. Okay, he just counters out of it. That's fine. Right, no, nothing there. I'm going to play out the Doflamingo so I can kind of sort out my draws. I'm on 5 next turn. I do think that I want the Searcher first. But I can... set up this Ivankov. So I'm going to start placing on top. I'm going to put Perona at... oh wait, but I'm going to search. This is going to be difficult. So it's going to be something like this, this, and this. And I'm going to end my turn. So I can save the buggy. Ivankov into Inazuma if I play Crocodile next turn. So on turn 7 and turn... So my 7th Dawn and 9th Dawn turn, I can potentially still have a Ivankov, 2 Ivankovs in play, and that's going to be quite difficult for my opponent to deal with. So he plays in Dogstorm, Inuarashi, Dawn 2, when attacking, set up to one of your Dawn as active. So this is pretty cool. This is a standard Wano country Odin deck. Very, very nice. We'll see if he wants to attach the Dawn and attack. If he does, I think I'm just going to counter out of it. And he does. So I'm not going to, no blocks here. I'm just going to counter out of it just to get the card out of my hand. And resolve attack. Okay, so I'm gonna draw for turn, draw my Dawn, and I'm going to attack him first. You know, it's good to have the practice of attacking before you play out your stuff. I mean, of course, against green, the triggers can come into handy, but it's usually good habit against red to attack first. And he counters out of it. Okay, maybe just want to keep his life up. We're still on 5 lives, so that's pretty okay. So I'm just going to drop down the Crocodile and I'm going to end my turn. No reason to dump out my hand right now when the next turn I have is Ivankov and I'm going to draw into another Ivankov. And then the next turn I'm going to draw into was it Mr. 3? So it's Ivankov into Inazuma and then Ivankov into Mr. 3. And it's going to be hard for Odin to kind of get back with that. Even right now with my 5 cost 7,000 vanilla Crocodile, it's something that it's hard for Odin to kind of go through, but we'll see. So let's see. Tora di Neto, really cool name. A few things that he can do right now is to kind of try and set up maybe the Okikus. If he has what's some strong cards in green? I'm guessing. Okay, all right. He drops down the blocker. That's fine. The Inuarashi can attack into it. And if it does, I probably wouldn't counter out of it. So he's still thinking. He's in a tank. Okay, he's attaching 3 Dawns to Inuarashi. So he's choosing to attack into, yeah, this I'm not getting rid of. Sorry, I'm not saving it. But Inuarashi is going to attack me for 7k, which, is a force 2k plus 1k. Or, double 2k's counter. I'm not going to block this. So he's committing real early. So no blockers. I'm going to resolve the attack. I'm just going to take it. That's a Luffy. That's a very strong card to have. And yes, I can bounce back the Nekomamushi to kind of clear the board, but I don't want that rest effect to come into play. Actually, the better target would be Inuarashi, just so I can stall him out a little bit. But we draw Ivankov, we draw Dawn. We're at 7 now, so we're gravy. Now I gotta think, do I want to clear the board or do I want to just keep in Nekomamushi around? I don't want him to... I really don't want Nekomamushi back in his hand because the effect could come in handy if I have blockers in the future. We gotta think about this. So I think the first thing, I want to get some counters out of his hand. So actually no, I will attack into Inuarashi first, Dogstorm. See if he does anything about it. So he does counter out of it. Okay, that's good. I got a plus 2k counter out of his hand. That's what we wanted. It was all according to plan. And now I can just drop down my Ivankov. And I can deploy out the Luffy. I'm gonna I really want Ivankov in my hand, so I'm gonna drop down the Inazuma. I'm gonna use the card action here. I'm gonna trash this, and return his card to his hand. So now I'm gonna start attacking, start pressuring. And the next turn, I still have another Ivankov activation. Play down the Mr. Tree. And then I have a full board. I can drop 2 with Ivankov's ability at the end of the turn. And hopefully I could set up a double attack with Luffy the next turn. This is just, you know, it's a tempo play. I'm preventing one of his cards to be on the field. And I know, you know, he has 1 Dawn up. It's probably got like Paradise Waterfall or something to kind of save it. And I don't want him to use that event card. I want to make it awkward for him. So I think that was a decent play. And the fact that he uses a plus 2k counter to protect Dog Storm might be quite good. You know, got another 2k counter of hand, Beppo out of his hand. Of course, we're playing against an OPO1 deck, so you know, cards from OPO2 like Ivankov is just a unique 2 OPO2 type deck. So this is still part of interest. Oh, but he got the Trafalgar Law. He can get Viper back to his hand. Potentially playing out, I don't know, Okiku. Okiku will be really, it's a solid threat here. Now, it's hard for Odin to deal with, like, cards like all of these that are on my field, because they all have 7,000 power. And unless he drops like an 8-cost kit, which is probably the biggest challenge that I could have. If he has a bunch of blockers, he drops down an 8-cost Eustace kit and brings out another blocker, then I will have a hard time getting through it. But that's a wall that my big creatures can potentially fight against. So hopefully, now this is kind of only my second time trying this deck. I did watch the tournament of the player that played the Ivankov deck, and just, you know, incredible showing, incredible gameplay. So I'm trying to learn the ropes of it. Ivankov is soon to be one of my favorite decks to play. I think it's just an interesting deck, and the 7-cost Ivankov is just really, really strong. So he attaches 3 Dawn to Odin, 8k power. He's thinking whether he should attack into my Crocodile or into my leader, right? So if he attacks into my Crocodile, oh, so he's using Odin's ability, discarding a card, getting 2 Dawns back. Oh, I'm surprised he's not attaching it more, because he's like, if I have a 2k counter here, which I don't, then I can easily save my Crocodile, and you know, that all will be for naught. He should have attached at least 1 more, unless he's saving it for you know, an event card. But I'm gonna let Crocodile go. We don't need Crocodile now. He has done his job. We have all our other big threats ready to go, ready to rumble. And yeah, it's my turn. And now, if I'm not wrong, I am drawing into my Mr. Tree, Doldino. So I'm immediately dropping down my Ivankov here, drawing up to 3 cards, and I'm gonna select my Mr. Tree as my character that I play. I want the double attack to hit through, and it can return only up to 4 cards, so it can affect Trafalgar Law for Luffy. So we're gonna use Ivankov to attack first. I still got 2 Dawns to play with, so that's fine. We're gonna try and get the Trafalgar Law out of the field first. If not, I'm still gonna force the double attack just to get Nekomamushi back to his hand. He might be able to play it. I'm surprised he used Trafalgar Law, but he didn't bring anything out. So maybe he doesn't have anything. So he probably elects to not block there, but I'm gonna force him again with another 7k. He probably will counter out of this one. But you know, 7k is the magic number because it forces out a 2k and additional counter, so he chooses to take it. Alright, that's good. I'm gonna force the issue of him trying to block or at least counter out of this attack. So I'm gonna attack with Luffy to the leader. I'm gonna use his ability so I can discard 2 cards from my hand, return a character with cost of 4 less to the owner's hand. Then my Luffy will gain double attack. So I'm gonna return Nekomamushi back, try to get the double attack off. I'm forcing either the Trafalgar Law trade or a counter. Now he has Nekomamushi back in his hand. He can 2k and Nekomamushi out of it. But I need to empty my hand out anyway because I want to use Ivankov's ability. Because at the end of my turn, I can draw cards in my hand. I can draw 2 cards. So I didn't like the 2 cards that I had in my hand. Sure, it was a 2k and a 1k counter. But These are the 5 cards that we saw from the buggy activation a couple of turns back. So we're probably going to see some new stuff here. At this point, the card that I'm wanting the most is the 9-cost Mihawk. So that way I can just return like a Trafalgar Law back down to the bottom of the library and clear the way for Luffy. Okay, he's not blocking here, so he should counter out of this. And he has a lot of cards in his hand. There's Golden's Nekomamushi. There goes the Jean Bart. And yeah, let's go. End of turn, I drop to 2. Alright, we have a decent card right here. We got Arabesque Brick Fist. We can also Perona to dig deeper into our deck to see if we can find the 9-cost Mihawk. So I'll probably Perona first, and then use Impel Down, Newcomer Land to look for, to draw into the card that we want. If we have a Mihawk, then that's great, because that's 9. I have 10 Dawn next turn. Yes, I have 10 Dawn next turn. So I can use 1, play Perona, use Newcomer Land to draw into a Mihawk potentially. Discarding Arabesque Brick Fist, play down the Mihawk, return down the Trafalgar Law to the bottom of the deck, and then just start swarming with this ones. And yeah, let's see. So far, I think, we're doing really good against the Odin deck. Of course, like I said, this is OPO 2 versus OPO 1, so you got to take this with a grain of salt. I'm just trying the deck out on OPTCGsim. Shout out to Batsu Games for making this amazing software. I really just wanted to try out Ivankov because I've never had the opportunity to play against it. I'll play with it, and it's a fun deck to me. It's strong. It's decently strong. If you have your good lines, you have a good Ivankov out, you got your buggy to prepare for your searchers, then that's fine. Oh, he's getting busy with Trafalgar Law. Yeah, I think right now he's trying to mitigate all of the incoming attacks. So I think his main target would probably be Luffy. So that's a 9k into Ivankov. Okay, do I want to protect Ivankov? Yeah, I do have another one. So against Ivankov, I probably won't block. I want to protect Luffy instead. So no blockers here. Gonna let it go through. So let's see where he plants his Odin. Now he still has 2 Dawns up, so I'm guessing it's going to be the either Paradise Waterfall or a Punk Gibson. So that's 7-7. I can use Perona here, but it kind of will mess up my plan. So I think I'm just gonna block. So I'm gonna block here, resolve the attack, and try to keep to the original plan of getting a Mihawk down. Alternatively, he has no blockers. Ooh, okay, we got another Luffy. So I'm gonna try the first plan first. So let's Perona. We didn't find a Mihawk, but we did find another Ivankov, and we have Luffy in our hands. So I think this is good. So start placing on top. We're gonna put him. Yeah, sure, Luffy, and then him. So now we're not gonna technically use Luffy's ability if I'm not wrong. I just want to pressure the board right now. So I can try to go for game if I want to. We'll see what he has. So I'm gonna just use Newcomer Land first, and I'm gonna discard the Arabesque Brick Fist because I don't really need to return Dogstorm to the hand. I'm going to I'm so tempted to play another one. It's such a good card, these two. So I'm gonna attack first though. I'm gonna attack into his Odin with 7k. Depending on what he counters with, whether it's a Punk Gibson, I might just put all my Dawns onto Luffy. That might be a risky play because the crackback might be kind of real, but if you can go for game, right? You should go for game because I gotta assume that he has plus 4k. I gotta assume that he has at least 2k, so that's 6k. So his Odin could potentially be 11, which means I need mine to be at least 11. So that's 4 Dawns on Luffy. He chooses to take it. So, okay. Then I don't need to double attack anymore. I'm just going to attack it normally. We'll go with the other plan instead. So we're going to attack into... I'm not going to use the card action here. I'm just going to attack 7k. I'm just going to deal them. We have 4 life. It's at 1. We're just going to get the counters out of hand. Alright. So he had to use 2 cards. because it's 7k. I'm at 9 Dawn, so I'm gonna drop down the Ivankov, gonna select the Luffy. We're not gonna use the card action. We're gonna put 2 Dawns onto Ivankov and attack again for 7. So 7, 7, 7. 7 is a good number. So there's the Punk Gibson, plus 4k, and he can rest something that's 4 less. The only target is Perona, so he can do that. But yeah, we knew that, you know, he kept 2 Dawn up. We knew that something was there, either a Paradise Waterfall or he could have Punk Gibson. And fair enough, he did have the Punk Gibson. Perona is rested. I can end my turn here. My shields are down, but I do have at least a plus 1000 counter. Now, if there was the 8-cost Odin from OPO2 here, I would be a little bit more worried because he can attack twice. If it was Eustace Kid as a leader, I would be more worried. But because it's Odin, and because he only has a Trafalgar Law and a Dogstorm on his field, I'm a little less worried about him just going all in and attacking to my life because I have 4. And he would probably be like, his game plan would either be, you know, putting in, oh, there you go, the 8-cost Kid. This is his saving grace. Now I need to deal with Kid first before going for his life. And yeah, this is a great play. No, you should have put the Dawn onto Kid, so I have to deal with it first. Okay, that's another play. That's another thing that you can do. I think he just wants to, you know, clear my attackers, but you only have 2 cards in your hand. You probably wouldn't survive the crackback after this. I have at least 4 7k attackers, including my leader, which I can pump it up, and the rest of them can be pumped up with Dawn as well. Even Perona could get busy there with just a 5k attack. So I think the right play, if he doesn't have, he can still, if you guys are unsure, for Eustace Kid, you can just rest the character and you can play up to 1. So up to 1 means you can play 0. You can still rest this guy. He had an Okiku in his hand, so he could have just done that. Maybe he's, I don't know, maybe he has another card that he can play, so you can rest Eustace Kid, even if you don't have anything to play out, so that's fine. You can just put a Dawn on him, and then I have to attack to Eustace Kid next turn. Then at least you kind of can mitigate the attacks coming your way. But in this case, maybe he is unsure that you can play up to, so this is just a tip for Eustace Kid players out there. I'm not gonna blocks here. I'm gonna counter out of it just because I can. And yeah, I think this should be game. If I draw a Mihawk here, which I won't because I know the order of the top 5 cards, he's gonna attack with Trafalgar Law anyway. Alright, yeah, he's gonna kill the Luffy. Okay, I don't have a way to save that. But his Eustace Kid is not rested. It doesn't have a Dawn on it, so there's no targets here. I will gladly take that attack. No triggers. And I'm gonna draw my card for turn. I'm just gonna go and attack into his leader because he has 1 card that's 7k. And then I'm just gonna put in, so if I'm assuming that he has a 9k, 2000 counters, then this should be enough. Good game. Yeah, and that was using Ivankov against Odin. That's an interesting deck that he played. I think there might be better if, you know, he kind of understood the mechanics of Eustace Kid a little bit, but still a great showing from Odin because he does use his ability in handy to kind of throw me off a little bit. But Ivankov, this is the power of Ivankov, just spamming out the you know, Luffy's and all of the other cards with Ivankov's ability, and that's great. So there you go, Ivankov, one of the best decks coming out from OPO2 format. I think that if you are a blue player from OPO1 and you are transitioning to OPO2 when the set comes out for the English release, this is a great deck to pick up. This is a great deck to play. It's fun, it's aggressive, it's definitely one of the, I would say, more fun decks to play because of Monkey D. Luffy being able to return something on play, as well as having the threat of double attack, being super aggressive. You can switch tempos right there, it's just really quite good. So think of Ivankov as a tempo deck, kind of in the mid-range, but this deck does have tools to bring you in the late game, and a lot of card filtering card draws in the form of your Doflamingos, your Perona, as well as Buggy to kind of get the card that you need. So hopefully this kind of breakdown of the Ivankov deck is useful. I've been trying this deck out for myself and it's really quite fun. So I hope you try it out for yourself if you have the cards for it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.